Thank you so much for joining us on our news desk on QTV. In our headlines, the Ministry of Health has placed its surveillance personnel on high alert following the increase in COVID-19 cases and deaths the country is recording across the country. ZESCO Limited has disclosed that it is working on setting up solar plants across the country to produce 800 megawatts of electricity. And Secretary to the Cabinet, Patrick Kangwa, has cautioned controlling officers that his office, working with the Treasury, will not hesitate to invoke relevant punitive actions against erring officers. And now the news in detail. The Ministry of Health has placed its surveillance personnel on high alert following the increase in COVID-19 cases and deaths across the country. Health Minister Sylvia Masebo has disclosed that 3 COVID-19 deaths have been recorded in the last 24 hours, while 311 new cases have also been recorded. Ms. Masebo has attributed the rise of COVID-19 cases to a new sub-variant of the Omicron coronavirus called XBB. Speaking at a press briefing in Lusaka, Ms. Masebo expressed worry with the rising positivity rate in the provinces, urging citizens to be on guard against the disease. The minister disclosed that those admitted for COVID-19, 9 are on oxygen while 3 are in critical condition. Ms. Masebo revealed that in the last 24 hours, Lusaka had 73 cases of COVID-19, followed by Southern Province with 62 cases, Copperbelt with 61, and Central Province with 48.
The COVID-19 pandemic remains a major threat to global health security. In the first week of 2023, close to 3 million cases and over 11,000 deaths have been reported around the world. In the same period, the African region recorded over 4,500 cases and 8 deaths. The current prevailing COVID-19 cases are reported driven by a sub-variant of the Omicron virus, which is now called XBB. As you may recall, the COVID-19 virus keeps generating new forms of itself as it continues to multiply across the globe. Similar to the Omicron virus, the XBB is said to have high ability to pass from one person to another. And here in Zambia, we have confirmed that the current increase in the number of cases we are seeing is driven by this XBB. Countrymen and women, in the last 7 days, 2,875,795 new COVID cases, including 11,354 deaths were reported globally.
Meanwhile, Ms. Masebo has urged Zambians to guard against cholera and other waterborne diseases, especially that the rain season is now in full swing.
The rain season brings with it an increased risk of diseases such as cholera, typhoid, and dysentery. By the end of the year 2022, at least 28 countries globally were experiencing cholera outbreaks. These include countries neighboring to Zambia, such as Malawi, the DRC, and Burundi. Ladies and gentlemen, with the climate conditions worsening, human displacement will intensify, along with the droughts and flooding resulting in extreme human suffering. Zambia is not exempt from these conditions, and indeed we already received notice of flash floods expected during this week and the coming days across the country. This therefore is a clarion call to our beloved country that we need to take steps to particularly avoid the cholera outbreak within our boundaries or borders. While we have so far done well and have not recorded any case of confirmed cholera since May of 2022, our environmental conditions make us remain at high risk of an outbreak. The increasing rain, poor drainage systems, and general increase in garbage all point to fatal conditions of an outbreak of diarrheal diseases, including the dreadful cholera.
ZESCO Limited has disclosed that it is working on setting up solar power plants across the country to produce 800 megawatts of electricity. ZESCO National Spokesperson Henry Kapada says this is in line with suggestions by the members of the public for the power utility company to go for alternative sources of energy. Mr. Kapada says a 250 megawatt solar power plant will be constructed by ZESCO alone, and another 250 megawatts will be given to whichever company wants to partner with the power utility, while the other part will be done by any independent power producer. He says ZESCO Limited has realized that there are regions that are conducive for solar projects, especially in drought-prone areas of southern, Wapula and western provinces. And Mr. Kapata has also noted that the company is also looking at putting up 500 megawatts of wind energy in provinces that are suitable for the project.
May of solar project, 800 megawatts of solar project. And this 800 solar project will be dotted throughout the country. Each province will have to benefit from this 800 solar project. Let's say Western Province can have 50 megawatts, Wapula 50, Southern 50, selected provinces can have maybe 100, 250. These are the projects that are in the pipeline. Also, we want to believe that if we were to move in the direction of, let's say, 250 megawatts solar project to be done just by ZESCO Limited, another 250 megawatts solar project to be done in partnership with whoever wants to partner with ZESCO Limited, another 250 megawatts of solar project to be done by the independent power producers. Then we're done with the solar. So 250 to be done by ZESCO Limited, 250 of solar to be done in partnership with whoever wants to partner with ZESCO Limited, and 250 to be done by the independent power producers. All these solar projects integrated into the national grid, then we are set. With regard to wind, we are also having something on the table in our strategic plan to put up 500 megawatts of wind. That in itself will also add value to the energy mix. So that is the position.
Secretary to the Cabinet Patrick Kangwa has cautioned controlling officers that his office, working with the Treasury, will not hesitate to invoke relevant punitive actions against erring officers in line with the Public Financial Management Act No. 1 of 2018. Speaking when he officially opened the ongoing Controlling Officers Sensitization Workshop being held in Lusaka, Mr. Kangwa says controlling officers should take matters of financial management and audit seriously and ensure that they take necessary steps to prevent or resolve audit queries in a timely manner. He says the unresolved queries will attract adverse consequences on those found wanting, and that government will revive the audit oversight mechanism which was set up by the executive to deal with the matters of audit and how to prevent financial mismanagement. Speaking earlier, Auditor General Dick Sichembe says his office shall not relax but will remain aggressive in its quest to ensure that public resources are protected from abuse and misuse. And Public Accountants Committee Chairperson Warren Mwambazi says it is time to shift from being focused on audit queries at parliamentary hearings to discussing solutions meant to reduce causes of audit queries. The Non-Governmental Gender Organizations Coordinating Council, NGOCC, says it is unacceptable that the country continues to lose lives needlessly through gender-based violence, GBV. The women movement is therefore saddened by the increased cases of gender-based violence in the country, as evidenced by the number of incidences reported by the Victim Support Unit almost on a daily basis. The NGOCC is particularly concerned about the recent cases of spouses killing each other in Lusaka's Mtendere Township and Chitambo districts. According to the Zambia police, a 42-year-old man of Mtendere compound died after he was allegedly beaten by his wife, who was in the company of two other persons who are yet to be identified. In Chitambo, it has also been reported that a councillor murdered his 32-year-old wife. Commenting on these developments, NGOCC Board Chairperson Grace Sinkamba says the organization condemns any form of violence, whether perpetrated by a woman, man, girl, or boy, and has therefore called on all stakeholders to unite to address this scourge, which has negative effects on society.
We have taken a keen interest in the matter and have since met the police over this case. We are pleased to note the professional manner that this matter is being handled in ensuring that the rights of the juvenile offender are upheld even as she stands accused. As a women's movement, we are cognizant of the fact that juveniles who come into conflict with the law are particularly vulnerable and hence need support as deemed fit. We as the NGOCC family have committed to work with the police to ensure that the 13-year-old girl accesses justice through the courts. May we take this opportunity to remind the community, the parents, mothers, grandmothers, grandfathers, that we all have the responsibility of ensuring the safety of our children. It is unfortunate that the life of this 1-year-old baby was needlessly lost at the hands of the juvenile. This should be a clarion call on our government through the Ministry of Community Development and Social Services to put in place public creches for our working mothers in communities. We reiterate our call on stakeholders to unite and fight GBV in all its forms. May I also use this opportunity to commend the Deputy Permanent Secretary for Eastern Province as a woman who stood up and rose to the occasion to protect a 9-month-old woman, a 9-month pregnant woman who was detained for a land dispute, and she did so expeditiously.
The Zambia Public Procurement Authority ZPPA has issued guidance on Constituency Development Fund CDF procurements in order to clarify issues and enhance public procurement processes under the CDF in ZPPA Curricula Number 1 of 2023. ZPPA Research and Capacity Development Director Justin Mutimuna says the authority has issued Curricula Number 1 of 2023, which guides on the procurement planning, reservation schemes, community participation, method of procurement, limited bidding method of procurement, eligibility for participation in public procurement, and capacity building aimed at unlocking the Constituency Development Fund utilization. Mr. Matumna says, as required in Section 57 of the PPA, local authorities will be required to plan and submit their plans on how they intend to undertake the procurement under CDF, clearly outlining the procurement methods, dates for the settlement events. In
an effort to unlock the CDF utilization through public procurement, the authority has issued Circular Number 1 of 2023, which guides on the following: 1. Procurement planning. 2. Reservation schemes. 3. Community participation method of procurement. 4. Limited bidding method of procurement. 5. Eligibility for participation in public procurement and capacity building. So I'll give more details on each of those elements. Firstly, on procurement planning, ladies and gentlemen, as required in Section 57 of the Public Procurement Act, local authorities will be required to plan and submit their plans on how they intend to undertake the procurement under CDF, clearly outlining the procurement methods, dates for the salient events in the procurement processes, and outlining which items will be reserved for citizens within the localities of the constituencies. 2. Reservation schemes. Ladies and gentlemen, Section 91 sub 1B and 91(2) of the Public Procurement Act allows procuring entities to set aside or reserve procurements for target groups or citizens within specified localities, such as suppliers within constituencies. Local authorities are therefore encouraged to ensure that procurements under CDF are reserved for suppliers in the constituencies in line with government policy on the Constituency Development Fund. So like the PS Technical Service was explaining, all the citizens that are residing in those constituencies, we have to restrict the tenders as the first focus for them. If they fail, that's when you open it up to the other potential suppliers. So it's provided in our public procurement under what we call reservation schemes. You can reserve and restrict those tenders if the potential exists in the constituency to supply.
Speaking during the opening of the workshop on trade union, ZCTU General Secretary Joy Vene has encouraged trade union members to disseminate the knowledge that will gather from the workshop to educate fellow workers in their workplaces. The Water Resources Management Authority, WAMA, has submitted long-term solutions to the current low water levels in the Kariba Dam, which is responsible for the ongoing load shedding in the country. Speaking during the tour of the Kariba Dam, WAMA Director General Engineer Kenneth Nyundu disclosed that the comprised state of Zambia's water resources has immensely led to the low water levels in the dams. The WAMA Director General stated that the continuous unsustainable activities around water resources has caused the drying up of tributary rivers to the Zambezi, which in turn has reduced the inflows to Lake Kariba. He further pointed out that there is need to increase the country's water storage capacity through the construction of over 12,000 reservoir dams compared to the current 2,750 dams that will support the country in times of drought.
So yes, immediate short-term measures are required because we're in a crisis, but we should already start thinking of long-term because one, the population is going up, our industry base, most of the countries is expanding. We are talking about new mines, new work, people need more power, meaning really the current generation is not enough. I believe our colleagues Zesco, they are already up running in terms of looking at further sites to produce this power. But the resource behind this is water. So we may risk having a situation where we have all this infrastructure, but they are running at 10% because there is no water. So then the investment will not be worth it. And that we realize as an authority that we need to do something, working with other institutions. And we have some proposals today, or we are going to advocate at national level three things which we shall continue championing as an authority. The first one, which I think in a way was alluded to, I'm happy that even ZI talked to it, but they restricted themselves to Zambia's catchment, is the national reservoir storage capacity for the country.
Infrastructure Minister Charles Milupi says the construction of international bituminous standard roads linking Zambia to Angola has taken shape. Mr. Milupi, who was part of the President Hakainde Hichilema's delegation state visit to Angola, says the trip to that country was primarily to sign a memorandum of understanding on the construction of two of the important roads linking Zambia to Angola. Mr. Milupi says the Mwinilunga, Ikelengi, Jimbe and Tapo Kalabo Sikonga roads in northwestern and western provinces respectively are the roads to be upgraded to international bituminous standard under the memorandum of understanding signed between the Zambian and Angolan governments. Mr. Milupi says both governments are keen in actualizing the two road construction projects from the respective sides of the border and to construct one-stop border posts at both Sikongo and Jimbe border posts. He says the construction of these two roads will not only be a promise fulfilled, but will also spur economic growth through intra-regional trade between Zambia and Angola and beyond. Opposition Patriotic Front presidential candidate Brian Mundubile says local government and rural development minister Gary Nkombo is on point in telling his colleagues in the United Party for National Development UPND to stop blaming PF instead of delivering. Mr. Mundwile, who is also leader of the opposition in Parliament, saluted Mr. Nkombo for issuing a truthful statement, adding that the minister was cut from a different cloth. Mr. Mundwile said the UPND had raised false hopes among Zambians that they were ready to deliver development immediately they won. Mr. Mundwile said Zambians were now fatigued after learning that the UPND had focused on distributing parts or blaming the PF instead of delivering of their promises. Mr. Nkombo is quoted in one of the daily tabloids telling the UPND administration to stop blaming the game on the PF and focus on fixing things.
I wish to agree with Honorable Nkombo in totality, even if the comment has come much later. You know, would have expected him to make this observation much earlier. You realize that when the UPND were campaigning, they were campaigning to resolve the many challenges that Zambia was facing. In short, they gave an impression to the Zambian people that they understood the assignment before them. Therefore, Zambians did not expect them to get into office and start playing the blame game. They expected them to start delivering. Now that Honorable Nkombo has realized that Zambians are simply fatigued with the excuse of the blame game that the UPND are embarked on, I agree with him, and I wish to state that he may be the only gentleman under the UPND who is cut from a different cloth.
The National Union of Technical Education Lecturers and Allied Workers says it will immediately commence negotiations for the sector conditions of service following a meeting with the Emoluments Commission. The organization president, Emmanuel Mwila, says the negotiations were delayed due to the enactment and commissioning of the Emoluments Commission, though the union had written to the commission late last year for guidance. Speaking immediately after the meeting, Mr. Mwila disclosed that the meeting was successful and it has been agreed that the bargaining process for the sector commences immediately and that the Commission will not interfere in any way with the bargaining process. He adds that it was further agreed that the outstanding conditions of the service for the year 2022 will be implemented immediately. He has since assured members of the union that the conditions of service negotiations for the year 2023 to 2024 will be concluded soon and has thanked them for their patience during this process. The United National Independence Party national spokesperson Andrew Mwima has charged that President Hakainde Hichilema has failed the Zambian youth who ushered him into power by turning in large numbers to vote. Reverend Mwima says it is unfortunate that the year has passed and all the youth have received from the president were mere promises and no action. He adds that there is nothing much so far that government has done for the youth to show appreciation for the job that they did in putting them in power.
Let the Minister of Social and Community Development come in place. These children have been traumatized. They need to be counseled. They have found themselves in the problems that have been created by our own leaders, especially politicians. The church has to come in. The NGOs has to come in so that we provide solutions to these compounding problems. Can you imagine? We had a lot of people. Yes, we are told most of the parents retired and they were never given the retirement packages. Children had to drop out of school. Some children have been sold, have found themselves into prostitution.
Kafubo Water and Sanitation Company, KWSC, has drilled 4 commercial boreholes in Mpongwe district on the Copperbelt province. The commercial boreholes will benefit over 8,000 residents spread across 800 households. The company marketing and public relations manager Mishek Moyo says the development now means that the farming community will now have 24 hours access to safe and clean drinking water by June 2023. Mr. Moyo says the project is being funded and executed under the Kafulafuta Water System Supply Project and will cost the utility over $3 million United States dollars. He says the company has in this regard successfully installed and laid down an 18 kilometers network stretch in the district and that over 120 meters deep boreholes have been sunk in the central business area of Mpongwe and will be erected on 4 20 meters separate tank stands.
Carrefour Water and Sanitation Company has drilled 4 commercial boreholes here in Mpongwe district on the Copper Belt. Over 800 households representing over 8,000 residents are expected to benefit from this project. All things being equal, this project is expected to be commissioned by June 2023. This project has cost the utility over $3 million and the project is being funded and executed under the Kaflafuta Water System and Supply Project. Carrefour Water and Sanitation Company is determined to ensure that the people of Mpongwe have access to clean and safe drinking water.
The Cavendish University has sent 84 nurses to Finland to help fill the labor deficit for nurses in the country, following the partnership agreement between it signed with the Kanji University of Applied Sciences in Finland 8 months ago. The signing was facilitated by the Finnish Embassy in support of Finnish Week of Business in Zambia. Cavendish University Zambia Dean School of Medicine, Bumpi Kafwamfwa, says the nurses in Zambia are the only ones that have a dual qualification, which gives them an advantage to handle all the issues that relate to the healthcare and services. Speaking at a media briefing, Dr. Kafwamfwa says this qualification is a level 7 under the Zambia qualification framework and is fully accredited by the Nursing and Midwifery Council of Zambia as well as the Higher Education Authority.
We normally just give them an idea of what geriatric medicine is or nursing and what palliative care looks like. And from that was born an idea that we needed to bridge this minimal gap that we had between what was being offered in Finland and what we offer here. And we designed a short course which took about 8 weeks to really cover these little gaps that were noticed as being between the two curricula. And from that, also, since they'll be going to a foreign country, we also had to train them on the language. For you to take care of your patient very well, you need to speak to your patient. In medicine, we always say that the history that you get from a patient gives you 80% of the diagnosis. If you can't communicate to your patient, then you are doing a disservice to your patient, and therefore the candidates that will be going to Finland also were taught the Finnish language, which I am told is very difficult to understand and to learn.
In Finland, every child speaks Finnish.
But since every child speaks Finnish, we expect also our candidates or our Zambian nurses to also speak Finnish. And they, from what I have been informed, they have successfully really managed to learn the language, and I look forward to hearing them actually speak the Finnish language as we go forward. In a nutshell, as Cavendish University, we're very excited, and we will keep this pipeline going for the longest time so that we can provide an alternative channel for employment for our Zambian graduates. As you are aware, we are graduating many nurses in this country from the various colleges and universities that cannot be absorbed within the existing workforce.
In Finland, Ambassador to Zambia Sanna Hallinen says this will help address the severe shortage of nurses in Finland. Ms. Hallinen is happy to see the signing, which was facilitated by the Finnish Embassy in support of the Finnish Week of Business in Zambia in August, has started bearing fruits. And Kajani University of Applied Sciences President Malti Saren says the move will provide an opportunity for Cavendish University Zambia students with entrepreneurship aspirations to be provided training, mentorship and coaching to develop.
Make, how to do this kind of collaboration in a way that is open and transparent, that, everybody is, on the same page all the time. As was explained before, there's a severe shortage of nurses in Finland, and there are qualified nurses in Zambia who are looking for employment opportunities that they cannot find here in Zambia. So we really feel that this is a win-win for both countries, and it has been all along Finland's ambition that this is a program that really benefits both countries. The nurses going from Zambia to Finland will acquire new skills, will have the opportunity to work in a different kind of environment with top-notch technologies and learn from that, and also bring that knowledge later on to Zambia. So that is excellent, and we are really looking forward to getting this thing started. We have also been very careful in sort of making sure that all partners, including the Zambian government, have been fully informed and know what the next steps are and how this is moving forward. And actually, when I took office at the embassy and I presented my credentials to His Excellency the President, he even made a mention of this program in his speech to me.
In Finland, many of our technologies is top of the notch. Our society is very stable and we have a very good clean environment, water and so on. Finland is also chosen 5 times in a row being the most happiest country in the world. The problem is that our society is aging. People live longer than earlier, and we of course need good health care that we have, and how to provide that in the future as well. So Kearney University of Applied Sciences has a medical faculty roughly the same size, a bit smaller than here in Cavendish. But we are not enough to educate enough nurses for our population. Therefore, we have been seeking a solution how to tackle this issue. And as was said earlier, this is a great match, both of
connecting the continent with music.